Greensboro. Thank you guys for coming out. Man, they've got a bunch of gear. Wow. I bet they're doing like a search and rescue operation. Here's a big gas line, it looks like it. Is this a gas line? Yeah. They were selling gas right back there though. Are you serious? This is a crazy gas line.
It's on both sides.
Grace and I are going cross country. We're trying to get into some friends who are cut off several miles out, who we haven't heard from. It's been like 5 days. 5 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So this is 4 days after the storm. And yesterday we learned that this community is completely cut off. I'm not 100% sure this is the best route, but it'll be good, it'll work. So we're basically just going in to talk to them, make sure they're okay, and then kind of assess and help them think through what's next and see if we can bring them a load of like critical stuff for what they need if they're planning on staying. The other possibility is they could walk out with us today or in the morning, and they could come stay with us, or we know some of their other friends have an open house they could stay in. So the first part of this, we're just skipping some of the highway. The highways to this community are gone, like destroyed. So this is a helicopter only access area. These are some of our good friends, and we just want to make sure they're doing okay. So we're going to go in and actually talk to them. We have really minimal supplies to drop off. Mostly what we have is enough to make sure that we don't become casualties, which is like basic emergency supplies. We could spend the night out if we needed to. Food and water, first aid stuff, changes of socks, changes of like critical clothing items. Careful, that's pretty flexible. So we're starting this journey by crossing a ridge, and then we're going up to a ridge, then we're going to walk up the ridge for maybe a mile, then I think we can drop down to the highway there. But I've seen some pictures of the highway, and it's just obliterated. And this is different from, like, my parents are cut off, but that's just one break in the road. You can drive down, someone can meet you and give you supplies. But there's these communities out here where miles of highway are obliterated. All right, we're walking down this little creek bed, which is just completely washed out. We crossed a big landslide in the back of this pasture up here. Massive landslide that no one probably even knows about. It's just up in the middle of someone's pasture. Look how this is washed out. Hey, little turtle. How are you? I don't even have a map, but I know all these valleys and stuff. Some buried house. 100-year-old house probably, tucked up here in the back of a pasture. I've never been here. It's just We're headed up to this gap. I think we can cross this gap and get over to the other side. All right, we're 2 hours in to this hike. We've been in the woods the whole time. We've not been to any of these areas before. But I'm following ridges, basically. I know these ridges, and we've occasionally gotten looks out. It's pretty insane. This is a massive mudslide that we're navigating right now. Just on the mountainside. It's like, this is half a mile from a house. At least. This is crazy though. It's like, this is the biggest one we've seen so far. Just a huge mudslide in the middle of nowhere. I think we can get there in an hour from now. At some point we'll drop back down to the highway. I'm hoping we can walk on that for a part of the distance. I just know the whole lower section of the highway is demolished by flooding. This reminds me of Guatemala, 2005 when I was down there. Thousands of people died down there, but they also had mudslides on another level because of how much steep croplands there is there. Look at this mudslide. 300 feet down, about 200 feet up. I've never seen anything like this in these mountains. I know they happen, but this is one crazy storm. An area that we like to hike. It's just obliterated up here. This is unreal. That's so sad. That's like one of the biggest mudslides I've ever seen. It's just like, I bet it's full. Okay, I'm not sure when the road opened. I know the end of it was open, but it was closed to all but local traffic, so they wouldn't have let us drive anyway. But I think it must have opened while we were walking. I may be wrong, but so we're almost there. We got a ride. What do you know? But as soon as we arrived at our friend's house, our friend's relative showed up in a helicopter. He showed up for the same reason that we did, because he had heard nothing from our friends since the storm and had no idea what was happening. Fortunately, they're doing great, but it was crazy to see the helicopter come in, and he was bringing in gas, diesel, and some critical supplies. I've never seen a helicopter land so close. Not in an undeveloped landing spot. So this was so neat to see. Okay, so our friends are great, which is such a relief. And it turns out that the road that we just hitchhiked the remainder on is open all the way out. Except we went to the start of it, but they wouldn't let us in because we weren't local traffic. But at that point, we still hadn't heard anything from our friends. And you can think whatever you want to about this, but I'm not gonna not find out about how our good friends are doing for like basically a travel restriction. I mean, there are areas up here that are just disaster zones. But I was determined to come check on them, so we ended up basically hiking. And I was under the impression the road was closed. I have been told the road was closed, just like a half a mile or less up. And what I'm finding out today is it's open for four-wheel drive for vehicles that have a high clearance. It's not all road. It's like half of it is dirt and through fields and yards. But it's not the state that's done the work. It's local people. And then our friend's brother flew out in a helicopter. They had no idea he was coming. He didn't know they were okay. And he was basically coming out to check on them because no one's heard from them. Anyway, so I'm super relieved and super happy they're okay. We're not gonna stick around long. We're gonna hitchhike all the way back out the road, and it should be a lot easier going out. Anyway, we're gonna visit a little while longer. We got some supplies unloaded from the helicopter. They haven't been out, or my friends haven't been out yet. Their drive is still, I think today is the first day they could actually possibly drive a truck down to the highway. And then if you have a truck, you can make it out slowly over the mountain on the highway. So it's all awesome news. I'm super happy. That means they don't have to leave. So now we're hiking our way out, or walking our way out, waiting for hopefully someone has a room in their truck to get us here in a minute. We got a ride. Yeah, there's no way we could do this.
Maybe now you'll buy me a four-wheeler.
Say what?
So maybe now you'll buy me a four-wheeler.
I'd love to.
I just think make sure I'll be legally old enough to drive one.
That's unreal.
Wonder how that is going to work. Whenever they come out here and they're like, "Can all of our machines get washed under?"
That guy's like rebuilding from the creek as we speak. Okay, Grace and I, this is an exhausting day, but I'm really, really happy. Our friends are doing well.
And I'm so happy that their road is not clear. It's a crazy four-wheeler track that people have patched together with the equipment that they had on hand out in those valleys. It's crazy. Like, I was a little worried sitting in the back of a truck on the way out. But we're so happy that our friends are healthy, and we're headed back into town. I'm blown away by just the level of destruction of the roads out there. Houses washed, just completely blown away by landslides. Some of the communities even further out there, they said, are much, much worse. And it's just, the flooding was so extreme that many houses are gone and there are many, many fatalities. But what we saw today was just an occasional house that had really severe flooding damage. A few houses, well, I mean, I can't minimize it. A few houses were just smashed to smithereens. But our friends are fortunately well. It's crazy to see a helicopter land in their yard. Literally, when we arrived, the helicopter was coming for the same reason we were, because no one has heard anything from up there. We just didn't enter in quite the same level of style, but that's fine. Grace, next time, just remind me to take a helicopter instead. I don't know why I didn't think of it this morning when we were making plans for the day, but I definitely am not going to forget now. Just grab a helicopter instead of hiking. All right, guys.
We'll get one out of our large supply in the shed.
Yeah. Why didn't we even think of taking a helicopter? I don't know. But super happy. We're headed back to the family to check in with them. The cell coverage is still largely down, and so we've had no communication with Brianna today, so she doesn't know the good news that our friends are okay. We've been just eagerly waiting till we could get out here. Yeah, thanks for joining us. That's it. That's all I've got.